Welcome to this video where today we're going to be looking at creating a live link between your Civil Designer model and Revit. The first thing that we'll look at is the format that we're using for our Civil Designer. If we go to File, Save As, you'll see that I'm using the latest DWG format. The next item that you need to have switched on is the proxy graphics. To get to this, we need to be in any of the design modes. If we go to survey mode and we go to file, option settings, we can then go to general, and here you can see save proxy graphics. We have that switched on, and you can say OK. Now whenever your model changes, if you've changed a road or a pipe network, the proxy graphics will update and the Revit model will also update. The third item that you need to make sure is switched on is if you go to your display settings, you need to make sure that the sewer, stormwater and water is in 3D. So if we go to the water, we make sure that is switched on as 3D, stormwater and sewer to also be in 3D. You can then simply go and say File, Save, choose to negate your coordinates if you're working in Southern Hemisphere coordinate systems. If you're working in the Northern Hemisphere, this dialog will more than likely not show up. You can press OK and you can save your work. It is now ready to open in Revit. So we'll go across to Revit. In Revit, you can load it into an existing project or you can start a new project. So I'll go to New. I'll choose None for my template, but you can choose any template if you wish. I'll choose Metric. I'll then go to Insert and I'll link the CAD model in. I'll choose the urban drawing that we're using as our project drawing in Civil Designer. I'll choose not to have the option of correct the lines that are slightly off axis. I'll make sure that that is not checked, and I'll bring this model in with the auto origin to internal origin point. However, if you have already pre-loaded a project and have started a project, and if you have set up the shared reference point, which we cover in a different video, then you can choose the option of auto by shared coordinates. But in this case, I'm going to be using the auto origin to internal origin. I can then double click with the wheel of the mouse and that will bring us to the model. If I go to the 3D view, you can see it has brought in the model as 3D. Any changes to your model for the roads and for the pipe networks, as well as the shape of the reservoir, these will be updated in your Revit model. We can double check that the coordinates have loaded into Revit correctly. So for that, I'm going to go to zoom into the crosshairs over here, which I snipped to allow me to snap. And I'm going to go to Annotate, Spot, Coordinate. I'll click over here and we'll put this over here. And I'll press Escape twice. If we zoom in, you can see that the coordinates are correct, and they do match the coordinates of the CAD. The only difference is that the positives and negatives are switched around. This is because of Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere, and the Revit model uses millimeters, whereas Civil Designer works in meters. You can go and do a double check on other points just to make sure that it is in the correct scale and rotation. Let's have a look at the dynamic link between the Civil Designer model and Revit. I'm going to go over to Civil Designer and I'm going to change the location of this reservoir, for instance. We could even change, if we are in water mode, the shape of the reservoir. I'll then go and say File, Save. And I'll go back to Revit. In Revit, I'll go to Manage, Manage Links. I'll go to CAD Formats, select the CAD item, select Reload with my one eye on the reservoir. I'll press OK. You'll now see the reservoir has changed shape and position. We can look at this in 3D and see what the reservoir now looks like. Got this box around it. I've just got to move my mouse out of the way. You can see that the shape has now updated in the render view. You can also see all the other surfaces as well as the road. Great. Thank you very much. I hope this was helpful.